for a hollow sphere, if this is taken to be the hollow sphere, okay, if this is the hollow sphere, so being this is a tangential line, this is the center point O, this is radius R. Okay, about axis, this is the axis. About axis, what is the MI? For a hollow sphere, I am talking about hollow sphere. What is it? It is 2/3 pi 2/3 mr square, right? About axis, it is 2/3 mr square. And I about tangent, that is equal to I about axis plus mr square. M be the mass, R is, this is the tangent. Are you getting it? Parallel axis theorem we can apply. So about the tangent, MI will be using parallel axis theorem, I axis plus mr square. I axis is given 2/3 mr square, that plus mr square. So this will be 5/3 mr square. Okay, so 5/3 mr square is the MI about tangent. So yes, that this 5/3 mr square will be equated with mk square, will be k will be the radius of gyration. So yes, correct, k will be root under of 5/3 of r, absolutely correct. Yes, so that means you now understand what is the radius of gyration value. This was question number 1, right? We'll do back to back, we'll try back to back questions first. Second question, this is a circular disc, right? This is a circular disc. This is the center, this is an axis, let AB is the axis, okay, having distance from center that is equal to 2/3 of r. So what will be the MI about this axis? What will be the MI of this disc about this axis? Provided this is of mass m and this is geometrically a disc. This is a disc of mass m, radius r, of course radius is r. So there is a axis lying on the plane of the disc as a line which is known to be chord, right? So what will be the MI about this line which is AB? What will be the line as an axis which is AB? Yes, tell me. If this is a circular disc, of radius r having mass m, AB being a line taken as a chord, the position wise we can understand this is a line which can be geometrically stated to be a chord. So if this disc is rotated about this chord as an axis of rotation, so what will be the MI of this disc about AB axis? The diameter, can't you consider one diameter? This is the diameter, can't it be taken parallel with this chord, right? This is being an axis of rotation, but geometrically it is a chord. So can't we take one line as parallel to the diameter? Can't we consider, just a minute, what's happening? Yes, so chord being parallel to diameter, so can we write down I about that required line AB? Can it be written I about diameter plus m into square of the distance of separation between the diameter axis and the chord axis? because we know that parallel axis theorem can be, I said in the previous class also, while dealing with the MI calculation relating to disc, ring, cylinder, hollow cylinder, solid cylinder, several times we have discussed that application of parallel axis theorem can be taken whenever there is a line taken as an axis of rotation, provided that line is found to be parallel with another line which can be treated as a CG axis. CG axis means one line that will pass through the center of mass of the dimensional body, right? One axis passing through the center of mass of the dimensional body can be taken as a CG axis, provided that line which you are taking as a CG axis, that should be kept parallel to the required axis. So, if I take a diameter as one such line which is definitely passing through the center, and if it is taken as a CG axis, then geometrically the diameter treated as a CG axis, that can be taken parallel to the actual axis of rotation which is AB. So, therefore, parallel axis can be applied, and here the I diameter can be treated as an I CG, and we know that about the diameter MI is always MR square by 4. So, that plus calculating this, which will be 4 by 9 MR square. So, MR square by 4 plus 4 by 9 MR square. So, that means how much will be in calculation? It will be something 9 plus 16, that is 25 divided by 36 MR square, isn't it? 9 plus 16, 25 by 36 MR square will be the calculation of MI of the solid disc about the line AB as an axis of rotation. Is that okay? Are you getting it? Are you all understanding this? Fine. P is the center of mass of this semicircular ring. This geometry ABC is a semicircular ring which is of radius R. Okay, mass is M. You can take mass of the semicircular ring is M, and radius of the semicircular ring is how much? R. So, now P be the center of mass of the semicircular ring, you must be knowing about it, provided if you have gone through the class in which we discussed about the position of center of mass of a semicircular ring. So, there will be an axis passing through the point P like this. Position of the axis will be like this chalk, okay, passing through the point P and perpendicular to the plane of the ring. So O is the center of the circle, geometrical circle. O is the center, but P is the center of mass of the semicircular section of the ring. This is a semicircular ring whose center of mass will be at P. Then what will be the mi of this semicircular ring about an axis passing through P and perpendicular to its plane? What happened? No response. What will be the mi of the semicircular, what will be the mi of this semicircular ring about the axis passing through O? If suppose axis is taken at O and perpendicular, about axis it will be definitely mr square. About axis it will be definitely mr square, yes. So tell me what will be the mi then about the required axis through P. I can write down mi of semicircular ring, mi of semicircular ring about an axis through O and perpendicular to its plane, right, that is undoubtedly mr square, no doubt about it, because that line will be treated as if it is the geometrical axis, okay. But we have to talk about the mi about another axis which is passing through P. So P being the center of mass or CG position, then we can write down applying parallel axis theorem, can we write down I about an axis through O, that will be basically I about an axis through P. Why? Because this is CG axis plus mass of the ring into square of the distance of separation between them. I told you that whenever we can find the mi about any axis, provided if we can establish that axis is passing through a point and being it is parallel to a CG axis, so we know this is mr square, that is equal to IP plus mass into square of separation. This distance is called 2 by pi times its radius, right? So OP being 2 by pi times radius, so we can write down this, that will be the distance of separation between O and P. So therefore moment of inertia about axis through P, that can be written as mr square minus 4 mr square by pi square. Are you getting it? 4 mr square by pi square. So in altogether if I take mr square common, then I can write down it is 1 minus 4 by pi. What I can write down? It is 1 minus 4 by pi. Yes, so this will be the mi of this semicircular ring about the axis through P. It's not plus, it will be minus. Okay, so that will be done in this way. We know the mi about the axis at O, and we were supposed to know the mi about the axis through the center of mass. So this time we do not know the ICG. In fact, we are supposed to know the value of ICG in this case. Done? Have you completed this? I will continue the next question based on this structure only. I will continue the next question based on this structure only. This was the question number 3. So now in question number 4, what I am going to ask you that this is the semicircular ring, line joining ends are like this. This is ABC. I am representing ABC as it the semicircular ring of mass m, radius r. Its mass is m, radius is r, right? This is the point O. So I am taking this is one axis, right? Let this axis is cutting the circumference at P and this point is O. Let this is be 45 degree. Let the line joining the free ends of the semicircular ring is AC. So with the AC, the axis OP makes, OP is a line, okay, passing through the center of the ring, center of the circle, okay, and OP is an axis. So find mi of this semicircular ring, mi of this semicircular ring about axis OP. Yes, what will be the mi of this ring about axis OP? In case of this is being taken as a semicircular ring, I told you that there is one more theorem, that is perpendicular axis theorem, and that can be applied, right? Perpendicular axis theorem can be applied for the body having plane surface, plane real surface or the plane cross section. So the semicircular ring is not, the material of the ring is only having, is appearing on the circumference. So it's not having plane surface, but its cross section is plane. So at the cross section we can definitely apply perpendicular axis theorem with one line passing through O perpendicular to the plane, and as OP is one line, I can take another line as OQ, and there is another line through O which is I axis. So can't this be three mutually perpendicular line? Since I have given this theta is 45 degree, so obviously being 90, this will be 45 degrees. So yes, so these two OP and OQ will be the symmetrical position of two axes. So what it will be mi about OP, the same mi we can find it about OQ also. So OP and OQ being perpendicular to each other, passing through one point, that is O, lying on the plane of the semicircular cross section, lying on the plane of the semicircular ring, right? And the third line is passing through O, which is considered to be axis of the ring. So using perpendicular axis theorem, using perpendicular axis theorem, can we write down I about axis, that is equal to I about OP plus I about OQ. So I about axis is equal to I about OP plus I about OQ. So can't I write down this is 2 I about OP, because whatever is I about OP, the same is I about OQ, right? I about OP and I about OQ both are same, so it can be written twice of I about OP. So therefore I about OP axis will be half of I axis. So we know that I axis was mr square, so this will be mr square by 2. This will be mr square by 2. Got it now? Yes, so it is a question of an application is perpendicular axis theorem. So whenever See, perpendicular axis theorem suggests us the use of three mutually perpendicular line. In case of if I take x axis, y axis and z axis, three mutually perpendicular line passing through O. Okay, so we can always write down Iz, I about z axis can be written I about x axis plus I about y axis. Condition, the important term condition, when can we apply this? Provided first point x, y, z are mutually perpendicular to each other. This is the first condition to apply perpendicular axis theorem. So, whenever we will be considering applying this theorem, there must be the use of three mutually perpendicular axis. First point. Second point is, as per this concept, x and y axis must be lying on the plane of the body. X and y axis must be lying on the plane of the body. Are you getting it? And the third point is z axis must be perpendicular to the plane of the body. And the fourth and last point, all must pass through one common point. These are the four things that should be applicable while using perpendicular axis theorem. Whenever to apply perpendicular axis theorem, these are the four things that should be taken into account. First of all, there must be an arrangement or availability of three mutually perpendicular lines. Out of three, two must lie on the plane of the body. So, as per the second condition, if out of the three, those two can only be lying on the plane of the body, those whom we are adding. We cannot add if x and y are two such axes lying on the plane of the body, then we cannot write down Iz plus Ix or Iz plus Iy, right? We can only add the mi about those two axes which are lying on the plane of the body and perpendicular to each other. And the sum of mi about two such axes will always be equal to mi about the third axis, which will be perpendicular to the plane of the body. And fourth and last point, all three must be passing through one common point. So, you can see all four conditions are applicable here. First of all, there are three axes, OP, OQ and this axis, the geometrically the position of the chalk, first, second and the chalk itself, three mutually perpendicular line, two of them OP and OQ are lying on the plane of the ring. Okay, OP and OQ are lying on the plane of the semicircular ring at perpendicular to each other. This axis, the third one, is passing through the common point and perpendicular to OP and OQ. So, yes, that is why I can write down I axis should be equal to I about OP plus I about OQ. And then being OP and OQ are identical as per the symmetry. If you draw the line of symmetry through the point O, so you will see that OP and OQ are symmetrical position, right. So, that is why whatever will be the value of OP, the same results will be about OQ also. That is why I can write down OP plus OQ, IOP plus IOQ as equal to twice of IOP. So, therefore, IOP becomes half of I axis. Are you getting it or not? Applied while using perpendicular axis theorem. So, from the second point, what I was trying to say, from the second point, it is important to make another conceptual point, that this perpendicular axis theorem cannot be applied on the curved surface. Perpendicular axis theorem cannot be applied on the curved surface. Why? Because on curved surface, how can you consider two lines lying on, see, two lines can, the set of two lines can decide the plane, one particular plane, and on a curved surface there is no plane surface part is, I mean, like on a curved surface at one point you can draw one line as a tangent, okay. So these two lines can't be then taken lying on the plane of the body, so that's why directly we can understand about the application of this theorem, that it can only be used on the plane surface, the body having plane surface, or on the cross section, as I said. That means it can be applied on disc, it can be applied on ring, it can be applied on the circular cross section of the hollow sphere, circular cross section of solid sphere, it can be applied on the circular cross section of cylinder, it can be applied on the circular cross section of cone, okay. But if you want to apply this theorem on the surface of hollow sphere or solid sphere or solid or hollow cylinder, so it can't be possible. Why? Because you can't consider the presence of two mutually perpendicular lines deciding one plane on a curved surface, right.